my fault. All right, welcome. I'm gonna talk about the books I like. I'm not sure about the framing. My background's a mess, but I don't fucking care. I would have had this more set up if I didn't fucking forget. Um, it's a little zoomed in on this. This webcam is a very narrow view, but got a couple books to go over this month this month, end of the year. We'll be doing this like every month from now on, but I read a couple books this year that I wanted to go over real fast. A couple that I didn't finish or that I've started. There's a couple I'm currently reading, and I don't actually have them all here. I'm missing a book or two, and I will put those on the screen now since I don't have those. But I know it's one of them's on Discourses on Livy by Epictetus. There was one other book that I read this year, and I can't remember the name right now, but if I remember later, I'll put it on the screen now. That I read. But let us go through a couple. And my fucking stream just crashed. Bro, my viewership went up, by the way. And I was like, oh, someone viewbotted me. It's literally because it was 5 o'clock. I thought someone was fucking pranking me by viewbotting me. And it was because it was during that book segment. I had like 15 people in chat. And I banned a lot of them. Because I thought they were bots. Alright, first. Very short book. Very good book on tyranny. It's just 20 short little lessons about tyrannical fascistic governments over the last 20, 30 years. There's a good amount of examples in here that I actually really enjoyed. About like what you can do for your country, what you can do to fight back against fascistic governments, like right-leaning, tyrannical, evil people. Which that was my last video as well. I'm pretty sure what like things that people can do for that. I really enjoyed it though. It didn't take me. It took me like 3 days to get through it, and I flew through this book. Next time I do a book segment as well, I'm gonna have like notes about things I do want to talk about specifically from that book. But this was a short little nice one. If you're wanting to just get started back into reading, get that brain working, because reading is a fucking exercise. Like it's a full time exercise. If you're wanting to get that back to working, I would recommend this. Very short, very good. Definitely give that a read because then I enjoy books like that. Yeah, it's very short, very simple. Very good, very good. I recommend it a lot. Timothy Snyder does a good job describing like different parts of. I know there was a section I really enjoyed. About being a patriotical, like being a patriot is the best way. Make eye contact and small talk. This is what you fuckers, you autistic fucks, need to do. You autistic fuckers, you guys need to be doing this more often. So yeah, that's true. That's true. Next book I started reading. I've been on and off reading this for a couple years now because it's kind of a bore to get through. It's a very long, dense historical text with context for the Communist Manifesto, how it was made, where it came from, Marx and Engels. It talks about it. It's Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. And the first half of this is like people's reaction, specter of communism, the Communist League, Engels' contribution, Marx's contribution. The actual Communist Manifesto isn't until the very end of the book, like this section of the book. This talks about like the impacts of it. Most of it's like the historical impacts in like the late 1800s when the manifesto was getting really popular. And it gives like 1830s put forward communism as essentially peaceful and political surrogate for the forbidden idea of egalitarian republic. Like it's a very long book. Because yeah, part 2 is actually the manifesto, but it's very good. It's very good, very good. I really much enjoyed this book. I read it, like I've gotten halfway through it a couple times. I've read parts of the ending. One day I'll get through it like all, and I'll read it all like front to back. But I don't think it's also bad to just like take certain subjects and sections of this book or books like this and just read those sections for context. It's not expensive. It looks. I think it's like $20. This one was like $6. I got this at a used bookstore for like $6. Um, and then this I think was like $20 on Amazon, but I got this years ago. It's a very good one. I really like the cover of this one. Next one. This book. I read this last year, but I reread it this year. I got this last year and I reread it this year. It's What the Tea by Juno Dawson. A very, very good book about trans people. Very good book. I think it's a very good book to show parents, loved ones, and like siblings. Like if you're going through a transition, I would recommend giving this to your like mom, dad, if they're supportive, of course. Because there's actually a section about like um oh, if you're a parent, read this, or if you're a family member or loved one, read this. But Juno Dawson, I mean, her first book was This Book is Gay before she transitioned. And then she transitioned and wrote this book. And it has helped a lot in my understanding of my own gender, my own identity as a trans woman, and how I've grown, changed, and evolved over the last year. I mean, this has been a long fucking year for me. First of all, streaming wise, we're at 302 followers now. And at the beginning of this year, I think we were at like 12. So in 1 year, we get to 300 followers. And if we keep doubling that year after year, that's what, 600, 1,200 in 2 years, 2,400, 4,800. Yeah, if we keep doubling that, it'd be pretty good. I'm just saying, chat. But no, I would recommend, if you're a trans person or you're wanting to know more about trans people, read this book. There's definitely versions of this online. This is the hardcover. I got the hardcover because I really like the author and I really wanted like a nice one that'll preserve for a while. But you can get a paperback. I think this was like $25 hardcover, so it's not that expensive paperback. And I'll have links to all the books in the description of this video as well, about like where you can get them on Amazon, or like obviously I recommend going to your bookstores, but if you need to get them online, you got to get them online. This is actually one I recently got. This is one of my more recent additions to my collections that I've already read. I have 3 books that I just added. Like I got them at Half Price Bookstore, near me, and I added those to my stack of books to go through. But this one I saw this on TikTok Shop, and actually it was really good. It was really, really good. Very rarely do books make me cry, and I think my roommate's reading this right now. But I opened this up and instantly I started crying. It's a very, very, very good book by Haley Grace about her experiences. It's a collection of poems and short stories, mostly poems, about her experience with suicidal ideation and her depression. It's very, very good. Very, 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 very good. I very much recommend this. It's another very short read. It talks about her going through her life as a woman and the stress and anxieties that she has, her struggles with alcohol. Like, very good, very good. I recommend this if you're just wanting a short read that's very emotional, very personal. This is very good. I like this. I don't know if there's any drama or controversy with this because I know this is a TikTok Shop. I didn't look it up before because I'm lazy, but I recommend this if you're wanting to give a short emotional story a good read. The big one. The big one. So I read 1984 this year. I've never read it before. This year. This is the first year I've ever read 1984. George Orwell is quite the guy. I got this for I think $2 at a Half Price Bookstore. You can get it anywhere online for like $10, $15, $6 to $7 if you need. Like, it's not that expensive to find it. There's tons of it online. I could not get through it in 1984. I really liked this. I really enjoyed this. It's very graphic at some point, so I understand that. It's a very good read. I mean, there are obviously parts. I mean, they put Winston from Overwatch in this book. Winston Overwatch is in this book? Winston, hey, felt too real. Yeah. I also read Animal Farm. So I reread Animal Farm because I actually read that years ago in high school. I read Animal Farm again this year. That was really good. That was as good as I remember it. That's a shorter one. Now I remember the other books. I'm remembering the other books I read this year. that I can remember that I needed to be talking about. But um, best edits 4KO go topics. Hello, we're doing a book talk. Shit, TikTok can't see my camera. Hold on. I just realized that. So this is very good. This is very, very good. I recommend this if you haven't read it already. It is longer. It is a longer book. This is, I mean, small text, many pages, but it talks about like where it's like an end stage capitalist kind of book. The government controls pretty much all text media. Um, there's the Big Brother is the big bad. You've heard of Big Brother before, like the TV show where they're just constantly being watched and scanned, and like the government's consistently watching people over and over. And if you make one mistake, then you're caught. Well, this is very good. It took me a while to get through this one as well, though. So I get not being able to get through it. Anarchist. This is a very, very good. Very, very good book. I very much enjoyed this book. I recommend it for people, especially people who are getting into politics right now. This is a good book to read right now. There's a lot of relationships between stuff that happens in this book and stuff that's happening right now. And I also recommend Animal Farm. Animal Farm was really good. I just reread that. If you've read, oh, what's the other one? George Orwell books. He's kind of a wacky guy. Don't be surprised if you hear some like racist ass shit in there. 1984. Yeah, all right, Google AI. Animal Farm was very good. George Orwell books. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Uh, I'm a fucking idiot. That's why it's not George Orwell. It's Upton Sinclair, The Jungle. I also read The Jungle this year. That was very good. That was really, really good. I really enjoyed The Jungle. I read that also in high school, and I reread that this year. Both of them are very entertaining, very fun to watch. So I would recommend both of those if you haven't read them. Let's put you over here. But if you're wanting to get into like political books, I would recommend something like this. That it's got more teeth in it than something like On Tyranny, but it's not. It's a narrative structure that you can easily follow. I feel like it's easier for people to read than some of the other books I've been reading this year. Um, like Letters to a Young Contrarian. Very good. I was actually apprehensive when I first got this book. I thought I wouldn't like this book because for some reason in my head I thought this person would be like, you shouldn't be like leftist or contrarian, X, Y, and Z. But no, he very much um doubles down on like, oh, you need to like, if you're gonna do this, you need to do it correctly. You need to have uh good mannerisms. And it was kind of a good thing to read because it was like, well, what are the things that you need? What are the things that you want to do and why? And take a look at this. Make sure you're not being like a hypocrite, basically. And I very much enjoyed this. I very much enjoyed this book. Another book. I mean, I don't know if I'd give it a recommendation for everybody. I gave it, I think, on my Instagram story like a 8 out of 10, if I remember. It took a little bit longer for me to get to than I would like to because a lot of it I was just like, okay, man, all right, dude, whatever. Um, because sometimes he has the centrist like, oh, both sides are equally bad viewpoint, which you know for a fact I do not believe that. I'm definitely not a centrist. I am very far to the left. Um, yeah, very good. It's kind of a good way to read the perspective of somebody else who's gone through journeys in their political ideology. Another good book, really good book that I read I don't have it on me right now, and I'm kind of upset about it. But it is uh Capitalist Realism, and I don't remember who wrote it, but he passed away. Capitalist Realism. Mark Fisher. Mark Fisher. Very, 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 very intelligent man. And I'll pull this up right now. This is something I do recommend people read. Like, absolutely. Capitalist Realism, Is There No Alternative? I recommend you read this. It's a very good book. It talks about where capitalism's going. How can we fight it? What can we do to identify it? Like, rather than saying late stage capitalism, capitalist realism would be the answer to that. What can we do against this ongoing segment of late stage capitalism? So this is a very good book. I very much recommend this book. On There we go. All right, there we go. But yeah, I would recommend, I think in order, if you're wanting to read shorter books, I'd recommend definitely On Tyranny and Save Me an Orange. These are very two good books. And I don't have Capitalist Realism in front of me right now. Otherwise, I'd feel like I'd be able to speak about it better. It was very good. It was very insightful for my understanding of the economic structure that we're currently in and how capitalism's evolving. And we're seeing that stuff with like AI stuff and like the degradation of like how companies are treating people worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So I would recommend that book for pretty much anybody as well. Um, it sucks because I do want to go, like, if this was like not like right now how I'm doing it, I would go through each book and give an explanation about the way I feel about everything. But a lot of these books, like I read Letters to a Young Contrarian like July. So like it's kind of foggy in my brain. It's been a while. I do need to reread it. Same thing with Capitalist Realism. What I'm currently reading is Discourses on Livy by Epictetus. Discourse Livy Epictetus. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's a Stoic philosopher. It's basically one of his students going through like as Epictetus was giving lectures, um, a student was writing down what he would say and then translated into the book, and then over time people have translated it. He's a very good Stoic philosopher. I've actually read that the first time I read that I think was like 2018. So 7 years ago. And I didn't remember anything about it. It's just been sitting on my bookshelf as like a fucking useless ass paperweight. But I'm rereading it right now. It's very good. I'm very much enjoying it. I'll probably get through it before the end of the year, especially with a couple of days coming off of I work off in a couple of days or next week. I have a couple of days off work. If you're wanting to get into philosophy, it's a good way to start. I took a couple philosophy courses in college, and my knowledge of them is gone. Brain shut down. I mean, that's before I transitioned, so obviously my brain isn't as reliable on those. But I would recommend to anybody here to read Discourses on Livy by Epictetus if you want to get started in philosophy. I think it's a good way, especially Stoic philosophy. You want to get started in there. He does talk about like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Diogenes. Diogenes is a really big um, philosopher that he actually talks about quite often in that book. Um, I would say those are probably. I'm trying to think. Did I read any other books that aren't manga? If I wanted to do a manga review, it'd be a much longer one about all the manga I've read this year. I've added a significant portion to my manga collection, physical and digital, that I've read over the last year. But I think there's value in reading like actual physical text like this. I mean, your brain actually it's an exercise for your brain because speaking to somebody comes naturally. It feels like you can just do it. You're kind of programmed to. But when it comes to like Fucking. He has her cam on. Batmax, yes, we're doing the book segment. I forgot to do it at 5. I feel really bad. There was a lot of people in chat too. And no one reminded me. Fuck you, chat. No, it was my fault. But what was I saying? Batmax, you got me fucking distracted. Yeah, exercising your brain by reading. And that's why I would recommend starting. My bad, no, you're fine. I would recommend starting with like a shorter book, get that brain working. And even manga, I think when it has pictures, it kind of like it gives you a little bit of a crutch that I don't know if it's necessarily useful. But with literacy rates drawing, it's pretty grim. Let me pull up a TikTok real fast. TikTok of teacher talking about 8th grade students cannot read. Here it is. r/TikTok cringe. Thank you, Reddit. Focusing issues as well. Yes. But this was very grim. Let me make my webcam small. See, I'm looking at the fucking stream this way. Emmyception. That's true. This was pretty grim.
I don't understand how they ended up to this point. You know what I mean? Like,
and I'll let her speak a little bit on it.
8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students. 2 of them are reading on grade level right now. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. That's a lot of them. And that's typical of what I've seen lately from students. But it's not just literacy. It's not just literacy, and it's not just like lack of content knowledge. It's not just critical thinking skills. It's basic thinking skills. My students can decode almost nothing. They cannot apply inference. They cannot process questions that are longer than
I'm trying to wait for her to get to a specific part.
Connect cause.
Yeah, this TikTok. This was sad. This was some sad shit.
Ideas like in a political cartoon, and it's scaring me. It's on the board.
Here, this is the part I wanted to get to.
They look back at their note down. Kids, actually, this happened in every class. We were doing guided notes. Supposed to be a real easy day. It was review. They wrote down Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board. They wrote it down. And before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, hey, where were the Catholics one more time? And these students, what they do is they look at me, and then they look at their notes, and then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. And some of them never answered me. They never figured out the answer. It was wild. And I kept giving them hints, like rephrasing the question and saying, like, it's in your notes. We just wrote it down. Where are the Catholics?
Like, that's fucking grim, man. That's grim. That's pretty bad. That's not good. That's pretty upsetting to me. And I feel bad for her because she's been getting a lot of hate for this as well. But this is like what I mean. Like, you have to constantly be exercising that function to be able to read. And I think reading, even starting with like shorter books, is pretty good, because if you're exercising that function to be able to read, even when it's shorter book, and you start warming that muscle back up, I think that is insanely valuable, and I think it's underrepresented how good that is. But I don't know. That's just my thought. This segment's already pretty long. I wanted to just talk about some of the books, recommend some of the books. Next month, I'm going to be starting taking like notes of like, oh, this is where I got in the book. Here's what I liked about it. And like actually doing like mini book reviews in the books I read throughout the month. Next one will be January. What's the date today? Yeah, Halo. January 13th. No. Well, it won't be January 17th because that's my birthday. It'll be January 10th around 5 o'clock. So, yeah. Read a book, please. Like in the next month, even a little one. Even if you're just reading manga that's like longer and more like thought provoking. And that's why I kind of like the books more because it actually challenges your like perception of you have to imagine the world. You don't just see it on the paper. You have to imagine the world. And don't like look for books specifically for you either. Like I did not think I was gonna like young letters from a young contrarian, and I still picked it up and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and that was good because I got to challenge my viewpoints on that. I don't know. Yeah, I would recommend reading a book in the next month, coming back to this, and then we can chat about it. And I will end the segment here. See you later, YouTube people. Leave in the comments if you read any books, or if you want to talk about any books next month. Um, but that's some homework for you guys. You guys get homework now.